Hi Russ, thanks for the wonderful keynote you just gave here at JAX London. And you all of us are surprised totally by a different message than it has been announced in the abstract. You all recommended to us to watch the movie The Big Lebowski. Why?
Well, to be fair, The Big Lebowski is a film that everyone in the team loves. Yeah. And when we were first coming up with the RUG language and the RUG runtime and all the tools that we've built, we kept throwing quotes out. Frankly, we were sitting around talking about how the language could work, all the problems, all the annoyances that we hit with software, and we kept saying what we need is something that ties the room together. And because we're big Lebowski geeks, in many respects, that's where the influence came from. And then when it came to name what we were working on, RUG just seemed to fit. And it was, no matter how much we've gone over it and changed it back, it still fits beautifully for what we're trying to do, which is tie a whole bunch of things together and make it easy as a developer to not just start something, but then to continue it all the way through.
So RUG is not a programming language. You said it's a meta-programming language or even a meta-programming language. Please tell me exactly what the hell does it mean?
It's a DSL. It's a domain-specific language. Okay. And the concepts in it are very simple in that you have the ability to select things and you have the ability to manipulate them, which is pretty much how everything's structured. There are a collection of different concepts. So you've got generators, editors, actually reviewers and executors just at the moment. And the idea is we've got a focused language that allows you to declare how you want to select and manipulate code bases across one repository, many repositories, and support people not only when they're building something new, but also be able to edit and maintain and review throughout the whole life cycle of your repositories. Now, that may not necessarily be life-changing for a monolith, although it can be. Certainly with microservices, where a lot of the pain is create something new, maintain multiple of these things, understand what's going on, review them. This is where RUG really comes into the fore.
It supports also different programming languages, right?
It does, yeah. So deliberately, RUG is not Java. It is not Clojure. It's not even JVM necessarily based. It's an external DSL. It has its own English-like syntax. Yeah. And we did that mainly for clarity and readability because it only does a limited set of things. We deliberately constrained what this language can do. It doesn't have complex control structures. It just has the simplicity of I want to grab this, and with that, I want to do this. The key difference for me, coming from a background of working with languages that to some degree did something similar. I mean, I worked in Aspect J for a long time, which had some of these concepts, had the ability to select pieces of code and manipulate them at runtime or even statically. So you could argue that some of that has been brought across. For me, the challenge was always testing. How do I test that what's going to happen is what I expect? RUG has had testing built in from the word go. You can set up a collection of files with a specific set of contents and then just say apply this editor or this generator to it, if you like, and I expect these things to come out. So that I think the thing I emphasize more than most is the testing side of RUG, which is the thing that gives you the confidence to be able to say, run these editors, run this manipulation across many different repositories.
Who's going to be the user of RUG? Is it the application developer or is it kind of a high-level architect who controls everything? What is the metaphor behind it?
We're seeing a number of use cases, actually, and a number of different personas that are using RUG. One of the ones, I suppose, as you mentioned, is the architect who needs to help teams adopt things in a best practice way. Those best practices can be codified not only in the generation of those projects, but also in the continual editing and review. So we give an architect the ability to know how to advise people and codify it. Another interesting case that we've come across is someone who creates adoption tutorials for technologies. One of our good friends is Neo4j. Right? We've been working with them on creating generators and editors for how someone takes a regular Spring project and introduces Neo4j to it. So rather than having extended written tutorials or getting started or that sort of documentation, code it. then give people that coded so they can apply it to their own projects and run it wherever they need to. The last interesting use case for me anyway is the open source project owner. So we see it all the time. You've got to put out a new version, possibly a new major revision of your open source project. And you know you've got potentially thousands, maybe more, users of your technology. How do you give people the tools to upgrade? Well, you put out release notes. And then you maybe put a few hints into some IDEs, or you have a number of different mechanisms. What you can do with editors is actually ship the mechanisms that will be able to look at code bases and tell people what changes they need to make, and actually offer those changes to them. So it doesn't just advise you, it gives you the changes. When you run editors against GitHub projects, for example, we're not tied to GitHub, but we are big fans. Yeah. You can run it against GitHub, and the editor will then produce, as a collaborator almost, a collection of pull requests.
Okay. Maybe last question. There's been the concepts of model-driven software development around there for 10, 15 years. What are the similarities and what are the differences?
It's an excellent question. So with model-driven systems, I think the problem for me with model-driven systems is that in the past they've been very much about driving to a certain point, and then they all started to creak. Yeah. Okay, so we have wonderful mechanisms of creating projects. We've got Maven archetypes. We've got other mechanisms as well that can get you started with something. And we have also of course, we have getting started guides and everything else out there. And Spring Pivotal have this wonderful thing called the initializer, which gives you that starting point. But that's kind of where the support tends to end, because the model of the software itself doesn't continue through the lifetime of the project. Because we keep that model, we actually understand your code. We will know, for example, Rug knows that your project is a Spring Boot project. Okay. And it will know what you're supposed to have in there. And it will know where things are supposed to be, and even be able to advise you to say, well, things aren't where I quite expected them to be. That's what a reviewer does. An editor will be able to say, for example, we have an editor we shipped a couple of days ago that knows that if you're going to change the service port on a Spring Boot project, these are the places you need to change it. Public port. It also is smart enough to know if you've applied Docker to it, which is another editor, by the way, so you can actually add Docker to your project as part of its manipulation. If you happen to have Docker there as well, it goes, you've got Docker. I can actually change the service port there as too, because there is a manipulation to occur there. So it's that sort of model level understanding. So it does have some relationship to model driven systems, but it's kind of an all-encompassing model that it keeps of your code, so it can do this meta programming.
Okay. Okay. Last but not least, where can I get some info, some code to play around? You said the Rug is open source and parts are already released. Where can I get started and have a first look?
So Rug is going to be open sourced. The language implementation is going to be open sourced in the next couple of weeks. That's the plan. If it's not in the next couple of weeks, it'll be very soon. At the moment, we've already shipped a collection of examples of using Rug, which you can use today. There are a collection of links on those public GitHub repos, and if you click on that link, it will run you through a little wizard to then apply that editor or create a generator, create a new project, or to edit an existing project of your own. So that can happen right now. In terms of the open sourcing effort, we plan to open source the Rug language itself. We plan to open source not only the Rug language implementation, but also the command line interface tooling, the local tooling, as well as a shell that we use internally. And these are the tools that can help you work with Rug really quickly. There are a whole collection of other tools as well. We have integrations. Well, I should explain. Rug is supposed to run anywhere. So we have integrations with Rug so that you, as I mentioned before, you can run it through a web browser, essentially through a bunch of clicks, and you apply your editors or you execute your generators. We are also integrated with Slack. So you can actually run Rug from inside your Slack. And in fact, the Atomist bot could tell you to run some editors because it's noticed that your project would benefit from it. So we're kind of, where we're going to that end was we're starting to move into tools that support what we're calling sort of chat DevOps. You know, you're actually doing the dev and the ops inside the chat as well. The reason for that is not just a gimmick. The reason for that is we're a highly distributed team. We needed the same tools to do this because we were not on the same time zone as everyone else, and we wanted to be able to work wherever we were. So we're great candidates for chat DevOps. So this is where the tooling there is coming from.
Cool. Thank you very much for sharing those great news, and good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.